It is the finals for the Battle Hardened here, presented by MinMaxGames in Milwaukee. Flake, DM Armada, Brody Spurlock. We've got the 7th seed, Evan, on Lexi Livewire, taking on the 8th seed. So the bottom of the bracket there. The bottom of the top 8 is making their way through to the top final. That's pretty intriguing.
Well, I mean, look who they're doing it on. They're doing it on the 2 best heroes in the format, right? And I think that's a very easy thing to say about Icelander and Lexi. The question becomes, what do we have in our sideboard prepared for our opponent in this matchup? Are we running Codex of Inertia that we can feel like we can really use to punish Icelanders? Is Icelander going to be able to kind of stymie on certain turns some of these big, go again plays and long combat chains that could push these breakpoints? What is the secret sauce, in your opinion, Mr. Brody Spurlock?
There's a lot you can do from both sides. We've seen this matchup develop time and time again on stream over the last couple months. I think as Icelander, there are multiple strategies. Cards like Encase, Command and Conquer if you want to threaten the arsenal. People have played Red Icebind, just ways to mess with Lexi and her arsenal. Also, we saw recently Ethnic Smoke take down the PTI event playing his Weather Vane build. There's a lot of different ways you can approach it. Some people are just more classic Bulllander, all attacks, just trying to leverage Channel Lake Frigid and do the classic Michael Hamilton build. And then from the Lexi side, the first thing to talk about is the equipment, which we touched on a little bit, like the equipment that Icelander might bring to this matchup. As Lexi, very often you'll have Trench of Sunken Treasure for the AB1 and also the flexibility, sinking arsenals away for a resource as long as they're face down. Obviously, you're going to have the New Horizon for 2 arsenal zones. And then the other 2 slots are a little bit more up for debate. Often you're going to have Snapdragon Scalers, but some Lexis have played Norrøn Boots, going for like the AB3 with boots and gloves, as well as Trench. Very recently, we've seen a lot of Trench, Shock Charmers, Snapdragon Scalers.
The Shock Charmers is a really cool tech piece that I think is super underrated as well.
I like it a lot. It's not only nice for the Spell Void 2, sometimes stopping an Arcane Breakpoint or just giving you +2 life, but also the activated ability comes up a lot, especially in a matchup like Icelander where you're trying to sometimes hang on to extra resources, but you don't want to just pass your turn with those if the Icelander never ends up taxing you, so it can be really nice to dump your hand into Shock Charmers, deal some extra damage.
And pop incidental Frostbites as well if your opponent's threatening you in a longer game. But yeah, it's one of those really cool, I think, tech pieces that I'm a really big fan of, and we'll see if he throws that out there. It looks like it's Trench and the AB3.
I think that is
AB2.
Grappler.
Yeah, Purse Grappler's AB2 on the Norrøn gloves there.
That is really interesting. So I have to imagine that this means Perch Grapplers is the only legs equipment in Evan's list.
I think so as well, yeah.
Which is reasonable, just trying to save slots. It's good into several matchups, so just actually not rocking the snaps at all. I would imagine if snaps or Norrøn Boots was in the list, we would see them here. But, I mean, Perch Grapplers is nothing to scoff at. Can be cashed in for 2 extra life on any of these attack actions that we know Richard is playing.
Yeah. And it works out in this exact matchup because this is a more of a traditional Bulllander list that we've seen played out there. It does have attack action cards and things of that ilk.
Time to go, though, as the players have bumped fists, meaning it's go time. Mantle Bomb. Let's make it happen. It's going to be Lexi Livewire versus Icelander Stormbind. Evan is the higher seed, or the better seed, rather, meaning that they are getting to decide whether they want to go first or second in the matchup. That is the privilege. It looks like they've opted to go second, and we're going to open this one up here with a yellow Aether Ice Vein fused with a Blizzard. That Blizzard is going to be an important card in this matchup.
Absolutely. It can be really taxing. It basically says you must have an extra blue on the spot unless you're ready to have your turn end, because not only does it make you pay 2 to keep go again, but gives you a Frostbite from Icelander's ability. I think that interaction is so powerful. It's different from Hypothermia. Obviously, Hypothermia was a little bit crazy, but it is similar in the fact that it targets go again decks, and the fact that the Blizzard doesn't even have to be played from Arsenal to give the Frostbite can feel really bad as the aggro deck, where you have to hang on to a whole extra blue if you want your turn to continue. So,
looks like the damage is going to get through here. The as much of the damage as possible to be AB'd, to be abbed, has been abbed. And in this case, we're going to take an opportunity here to start loading up and firing away. It's going to be a red Falcon Wing as the +1 value off of the Voltaire means 4 go again. Blizzard immediately.
Yeah, Snap Blizzard here is going to threaten the Frostbite as well, which is going to tax as well. So you're basically just saying, okay, give me more resources right now and slow your turn down and have a subpar turn in general on something that is not presenting an on-hit. And that is a very, very big deal because this is not like you're not staring down like a searing shot or an endless arrow or, you know, a heat seeker, you know, any of those big arrows. This is literally just 4 go again. And so you feel fairly comfortable trying to stymie the turn in the moment right here, I would imagine.
Sink below covering this up nice and tight over here, opting, looks like possibly feathering a card here to sink or not. A decision to be made. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and sink a card over here. No damage taken at this juncture. Frostbite going to go ahead and create a little bit of friction in order to go ahead and load up another. I think we're just going to...
I think he's going to pitch to play the 3 of a kind and try to push past the damage. He did have the second blue in hand, so drawing into what you needed to actually try and extend this turn. Let's see what he draws off of the 3 of a kind, because this could make or break the turn as well.
Yeah, it looks like a yellow Bolton shot in there, a blue infecting shot, as well as some other, man, we'll call it mystery meat as it is, but one more activation of Voltaire on the +1. This is going to be a 4 Bolton shot again, another breakpoint, making for an awkward block if necessary here.
So from Richard's side, looking at 1 blue and what I think is a red Aetherized Fan as well as a Fandle's Fighting Spirit. You have some choices here. You know there's a reload on this Bolton shot. So, yep, just 2 card blocking to make sure that reload doesn't connect, and then going to set up the... Oh, it was a red Aether Hail, so all reds from Richard's side.
Yeah, he was trying to decide whether or not he wanted to keep one of those other cards to Arsenal on this turn, and in essence just choosing to instead Arsenal the Fandle's Fighting Spirit, most likely going to make its way over. It's a great card to have in Arsenal. You'd love to have Disruption against a Lexi, but being able to throw 7 damage and a life gain is also really good when you can line it up. But we're going to see if the ability for Lexi to just kind of come over the top is going to punish the lack of disruption.
Evan using the bag of leaves. It is fall, so that sack of leaves is going to be important here. And in this case, Brody, I'm just curious, if you were using the leaves at that juncture, is it just a matter of just using it at the best possible opportunity to get value out of it?
Pretty much, because your Voltaire is already used up for the turn, you can activate Quiver. In that case, it was really nice for Evan. He hit a 0-cost Searing Shock, so could just fire it off immediately. But even if he didn't, it would go in face up, and we know that last card in hand was 3 of a kind, so he'd be able to just pass and double Arsenal. So pretty much just able to cash in a blue for a free card there as long as the top card is an arrow.
Look at this turn, though, Diamarmata. I mean, this is with holding priority and on the snack there in response to his own 3 of a kind. He's going to play Rain Razors, drawing 3 from the 3 of a kind, 2 floating. He found a blue. Does he have the red arrows to make this a very potent attack?
Well, starting off with Heat Seeker, which is one of the best to find on a turn like this, because it's going to mean that you're going to string this together. If you can burn through the cards that you already have in hand, then you're getting a free arsenal essentially off of a Heat Seeker. But it's also pushing massive damage, and you are asking the question before all of this takes place of whether or not they're going to play something like a CLF, which would really try to slow you down, but that's not going to happen. And instead, we know what's in the arsenal. We know that it's not disruption, and we know that Richard's in an uncomfortable scenario on this turn.
Richard's saying he does not want this Heat Seeker to connect, blocking it out with the Gauntlet. Evan is going to give... Oh, I wonder if he's going to give +1 to this Bolton shot. Coming in for 7, 8.
8 damage.
Yeah, these are huge over here, giving the +1 to the Bolton shot. It already got the help from the Rain Razors. It was always going to get the go again. Because it
should be 7.
Yeah, it's going to be 7,
correct.
right. In this case, hey, why not? If this does connect, it does create the free reload effect, which could potentially be another arrow that can be sent towards Richard here. Richard has been on the receiving end. These are 2 very potent turns back to back.
Yeah, I don't know that he has the capacity to give up the 2 cards in hand and the Coronet Peak just to stop the 3rd arrow on this turn. But man, is it a lot of value. And this also really slows things down, because now your 1 card for 7 and a life point gain becomes a 2 card for 7. Well, no, you can take a Tunic Resource, so that actually does help that.
Have a look at that. Man, that life total has absolutely evaporated in a hurry over here. It is thawing out, and Richard is down to 17. Less than half the life total already. It's incredible how much work Ethan has done. However, Evan, sorry, not Ethan. Ethan has done incredible work as well. Let's not sell that short.
Ethan.
Evan has done incredible work. We got to give love here in chat, please, to Savage Feast and Ethan, who's put on a big show. But Evan, back-to-back incredible turns, has whittled away that life total down to essentially half of what Richard has started at. But that is off the back of 2 3 of a kinds and a Rain Razors. You got to think that Evan needs to rely on those types of big turns in order to convert against a relatively defensively postured kind of opportunistic hero like Icelander.
Yeah, sending over the 7 damage with the 1 life gain, so it's a 2-card 8 and feels really good. Drawing up and drawing into a couple of 2 blocks, which doesn't feel great if your Lexi opponent's really trying to push breakpoints. But They're on a 4-card hand. They're on an honest hand.
It was pretty nice for Richard there that he had the Tunic on 3 to counter the hamstring shot.
Yes.
Otherwise, that would have been potentially brutal, stuffing the Fiendals in Arsenal, making it cost an extra 1.
Yes, exactly. That was a fortuitous tick up, and it's good that you don't miss your Tunic counter so that you can make plays like that. But both of these players, high level players, and going to cross the T's, dot the I's, play the cold snaps, and send on over the frostbites, as it were. Doing this in a moment where it doesn't actually affect the Arsenal is an interesting choice here.
Frostbite is on the stack. It's going to resolve here. That is still a bolt and shot red. 2 floating. Evan's finding the blues in conjunction with some pretty hefty arrows as well. I think that the recipe is quite balanced, as it were. He's putting up a balanced breakfast.
Yeah, so the cold snap being fired off here does not threaten to freeze anything.
Correct.
It's funny, we have a cold snap pitched on the other side too, all these ice cards running around. But still giving the frostbite, still very efficient play, basically just converting your arsenal to 3 damage and a frostbite.
Well, it feels awkward too because we know that our opponent's floating too, and so they had the capacity to maybe pay into the tax if they needed to, but in this instance they don't really need to because it's not affecting anything, and they can pay through the frostbite instead. The tax from the cold snap not necessarily going to hit anything on freezing the arsenal because there is no card in arsenal right now.
And it looks like, I don't know who's thinking here. Maybe Evan is considering a response, or Richard is considering whether he wants to Waning Moon now or later. And I think
they're resolving damage and blocks. I think he's just going to let it go on and hit.
That trickled through. Incredible, as at 31 here, Evan feels pretty comfortable. Yeah. And Lexi is just really continuing her dominance of these tournaments here. This is going to be Codex.
Codex of Frailty fired off. So I think we saw the Infecting Shot get reloaded off of Bolton.
Yes.
Flipped face up with Lexi, which costs 1 because of the Frostbite. And then now you have the resources to, assuming there's a Falcon Wing in that graveyard, you can shoot both of those arrows for a total of 8 damage, threatening a Blood Rod on the second one.
That's exactly right. And that Falcon Wing is available because it was played on, I believe it was turn 2, right before the insanity of the multiple Three Oaks plays.
Frailty.
And at this juncture, you got to also think that there's a good potential that Evan is not necessarily thinking about on hits as much as he's thinking about sheer damage, about
winning the game.
Exactly. About if Falcon Wing is not really going to do much but present vanilla damage, it's going to be a 3 go again off of the Codex of Frailty here. But the most important part is that it's just more damage, knowing that Richard is at a position here where he's going to be eventually getting down to single digits here. Yeah, it's cool to have some on hits, drill shots and infecting shots, but at the end of the day, you want to present the most uncomfortable and sheer damage as much as you can. And in that case, the built-in go again on a Falcon Wing is very important. And that's what he's following up with here, a 3 go again off the Falcon Wing, retrieved by the Codex of Frailty.
I just love the Dagon White Ponder token smugly sitting there with a smile saying, yeah, I'm going to draw a card. You excited for that? It's an extra arsenal.
I just love Dagon White. Dude's a good dude.
Yeah, I mean, totally agree with that. But the shrewd smile is just perfectly encapsulates the feeling of getting an extra card at the end of your turn.
And everybody still upset that Lexi's a good deck, not realizing that good decks exist. And there's only one Lexi that made it to the top 8. Well, these are the ways, this is the way the cookie crumbles. Unfortunately, a good deck's going to be good decks. It's just the way it is. And we that's what the world we live in. 3 go again is not exactly a world breaker, as it were, but it's still damage that we're presenting here as Richard is taking it, going down to 10. But the follow-up here is that Infecting Shot for 5 on hit, threatening a Blood Rot. This is a card that you kind of have to respect.
Now we're going to most likely see the. Is he going to make the play for the block here? He's going to just block with the Tunic plus the Sink Below from hand.
I think this makes a lot of sense. He had several 2-blocks in this hand, dropped the Scar to the discard, and he basically, if he wanted to stop the breakpoint here, his options were to give Tunic or give Fighting Spirit to gain a life and block that last one.
Yep.
But this makes sense. He's gonna play the Fighting Spirit from Arsenal on his turn. I think maybe he just sunk the other one in hand away, so he's digging for a blued Arsenal, get some disruption in.
That's what he drew into. He actually just drew into Emeritus Scolding as well. So he has the Ice Blue Cold Snap, and he has Emeritus Scolding. So he has the capability of popping the ice into the Arsenal off of playing the life gain Fiendal's Fighting Spirit from the Arsenal as we see him begin his turn. This will come for 6 because it is from the Arsenal, and it is nuked by that Frailty token. Nevertheless, it is going to importantly gain him a life, and that keeps him around, if, hopefully for the foreseeable future in his mind. But there's the value block on the Perch Grapplers.
Definitely
Okay.
seems right to just cash it in. These players were able to review each other's deck lists, and Evan saw that there are 3 CNCs. So super early in the game, sometimes you want to keep a Perch around to be able to save you in a spot where you have 2 blocks. But at this point, we're getting closer to the end. Life totals are getting lower. You just want to make sure you get that 2 life out of Perch while you have it.
Richard should be at 11 if I'm not mistaken, because of the Finals Fighting Spirit. So the life gain there may have been missed if I'm not if my math is correct.
I think you're right. I think either maybe they missed it or just haven't updated our life totals digitally. We'll have to find out. That is an ice card flipped up from Lexi's side, threatening a frostbite, and then Icelander is like, nope, I will give you a frostbite in response first. Obviously, we'll still end up with a frostbite from Lexi, but has the power of instant speed on her side.
It resolves, and we move the frostbite on over, and then the frostbite resolves, and then we share the frostbite on the other side, and everybody gets a frostbite. You get a frostbite. I get a frostbite. Check under your seat, everybody at home. Guess what? It's a frostbite. And then we follow this up, paying the 2 resources before the frostbite resolves so that we can Waning Moon and efficiently.
Evan has taken all the damage, but it looks like he did pay through the cold snap effect to be able to play this Ice Quake out. I wonder... I smell 3 of a kind. I haven't seen a 3 of a kind. Something tells me maybe.
It's like the smell of rain, like before the storm, or what is the...
Being able to smell a 3 of a kind might be one of the 6th senses that means that's probably why you win so many tournaments,
When
Brody.
you play enough Fabble, you
Yeah.
begin to smell 3 oaks.
It seems my nose was mistaken though. We've just got another blue in hand, so
Hey,
gonna.
don't doubt yourself. You never know. That last card, it could be.
I'm going crazy if that's a 3 of a kind. I am.
Yeah, stand up and start
Yeah,
clapping.
I'm still curious if the life totals are properly reflected here, because I believe Richard should be at 11. That's just me, but the life totals may be writing it on their pads, but in terms of onto the actual, there we go. So we're gonna get that sorted out. It should be all good to go, and gravy. We're gonna get this all figured out.
This is pretty rough from Richard's side. Evan is still should be at 24. Yeah, like you said, life totals need to be updated, but in the 20s, Richard is down. He's at 10 or 11, something like that. Gonna get those updated, but he's got 4 cards in hand, fired off this cold snap from Arsenal, 7 coming in on hit an additional 1 and more frostbites. So it's very likely Richard is gonna have to block with several of his cards, just set up an Arsenal and not actually take a turn on his own turn because of all these frostbites. And it's unlikely he'll be able to keep enough cards and weather the storm of damage, since he is going to be down to single digits here. 1 card left in Evan's hand, assuming it's a 1 cost arrow, he can buff up to 6.
Yeah.
That is 13, 14 plus, or 14 if you count the damage from the searing shot. So in theory, if Richard wanted to, he could block with Coronet Peak plus a card. And I am being told to be a little quieter because, as it happens with these events, the venue is starting to empty out, and we don't.
Brody, don't even worry about it.
Finals.
I got a judge warning at the US Nats 2021 for being too loud in the booth. My only ever warning from a judge. I wasn't even playing in the tournament.
You got your own judge call in the booth.
Yeah, it was great. He came over and he's like, and he did like the whole like cut your neck thing, like stop it. I was like, okay. He did the very significant point, but there you go. So the life totals are adjusted, 21 to 11 here.
Yeah, it looks like he's feathering the 3-card block. I was wondering if he was just going to give 3 cards here, if he was going to maybe try to make some like crazy Coronet Peak play on his as a blocking tool, but I don't think that makes just any sense at all. But oh, look at this follow up with the Remorseless here. Just again threatening more damage.
So what is like the ideal hand, Brody, in your opinion, in terms of Icelander here coming back to this? Is it finding something like Channel Lake Frigid? Is it finding like an Aether Ice Vein Red to strip the hand a little bit? What can Richard hope for here? Is it just a Blizzard?
I think Blizzard is one of the most tempo turning cards. Warmongers, like we saw in the Katsu game, we know Richard is playing 3 Warmongers, and it is possible that if he can block out and hang on to that 1 card, it could totally stuff Evan's turn. Never mind, there is a trench in play. So I take it back. Warmongers will not be as powerful as they could have been in that Katsu game. But I do think Blizzard, if Evan is resource light and you can just stop the turn, or channel, he did have it.
As well as a fantastic reply to this. That was the 1 card that he kept in hand when he made the block with some less than optimal cards. some 2-block cards from his own hand, choosing to establish the CLF on a turn and doing it in response to not just the Lexi load, but really just playing down the +3 attack. Now, in response to this, we're going to see the Lexi load first, I believe, and that is to avoid the attacks there. But wow, look at it! Look at the turn that could have been had we not revealed CLF at this opportune time. We were playing the premeditate. We had perhaps some resources available to jam down 3 oak, and all of that is shut down.
Sometimes, Channel Lake Frigid is an incredibly powerful card in terms of slowing down an opponent, but it's a very different feel when you're Evan at 21 with your opponent at such a low life total. If this was a situation where Evan was looking to close out a game before he himself succumbed to the damage, then it's a more dangerous thing. But you could probably just wait this out to a degree. The problem is giving Icelander back the tempo.
Yeah.
Letting Icelander have an arsenal as well. And here's another way to play catch up. Richard is going to gain a life point here as well as threatening 7. So we're closing the gap very slowly here, finding that value.
That was perhaps the clutchest Channel Lake Frigid play and draw that I've seen in a long time, because that literally shut the entire turn down. The tax plus the frostbite on what appeared to be an all red hand basically meant that your turn was over after playing a very powerful premeditate, not being able to capitalize on it at all. And all of a sudden you blink and you see that Icelander is sitting back at a decent spot.
This is definitely what Richard needed if he wanted to make a comeback in this game. Had the Channel Lake, the Lexi had reds. Does look like at least one blue this turn, firing off Falcon Wings. So damage being presented. Evan is down to 17, which is still healthy, but getting closer to that dangerous range. Can Richard weather enough damage to maybe keep this channel around for a second turn and start making a serious swing back in these life totals?
That is indeed the question. He does have a Blizzard in hand as well.
That can be big.
That very well could be big. Now, you do have to feather these cards and understand, if you've got is that an Aether Hail as well, a blue Aether Hail that could also give Frostbites? So we could do a couple of things here that allow us to play some Frostbites. We have some defensive tools. We have a Fate Foreseen as well. But the main key is, can you go onto your own turn with some sort of an effect that allows you to pitch 2 ice cards and keep the CLF? If not, then we just need to stymie as much of this damage as possible and try to get our opponent lower into some sort of range that we can kill them from. And that is very doable as Icelander.
Richard is going to fire off this Aether Hail before casting the Blizzard. He will hold up the choice of whether he wants to, but basically doesn't want Evan to know that the turn is going to be completely stuffed, wants to leak this arcane damage through before the Blizzard is revealed so that it doesn't just get a bead with all the extra resources.
And let's keep in mind that these life totals were so much further apart not too long ago. And when I think it was like 5 minutes ago, Brody asked you, what's the ideal hand? It looks like Richard may have caught it, and back to back too. So he's found ways to make this a lot closer, to keep this game tighter. And keep in mind, Coronet Peak does block for 2. That's an opportunity to sort of save some life without giving up a card if necessary. A Red Falcon Wing 3 go again is not the most menacing, but it does represent a lot of your life total that's left here. So Evan is staring down the turbulence, that kind of extra friction that Channel Lake Frigid offers you when you're trying to cobble together these bigger, wider turns. And that's kind of the name of the game. When you're playing against Icelander, your game plan that you put together in your mind is not necessarily what you're gonna end the turn with.
There's the follow-up Blizzard, and that is a huge change because this is going to give another Frostbite. That's 2 Frostbites, and it's going to ask for more resources. And that's something that he just does not really have the capability of doing and then following this up with anything. He's holding onto a Codex of Frailty. He's got a yellow in hand. He can pay for it. And he does have a blue. Okay, so he does have the capability of playing around 2 Frostbites then.
So can at least fire this Endless Arrow after this. So now Richard has to decide, likely he'll hang on to that Fate to basically play it on the Endless Arrow. If Evan wants to fire the Endless, he's going to have to pitch his last card there because he only has 1 floating and 2 Frostbites to tax. So Richard maybe will take this down to 3. If Evan were to pass, he'd have to restructure his turn, likely pitching to Peak and playing Fate Foreseen. Otherwise, I wouldn't be surprised to see him fire off that Fate.
Oh, boy.
That is the Endless for 4.
Well, he's going to pitch a pretty hefty card there with Codex of Frailty, but he's opting to just go ahead and say, hey, no, this damage is much more important to me at this juncture, as it's going to cost you a hell of a lot to do so.
Now, he has the capability of playing around it. He's got a Fate Foreseen in hand, so he's clearly just going to Fate this and cover it up. But that means that the Channel Lake Frigid is the moment he makes the Blizzard play. And looking at the contents of the hand, there was really no way to keep Channel Lake Frigid on the board. So he found the spots where he wanted to block. He taxed to the extent that he could, and then he managed to dance around enough of that damage to allow him to arsenal a card on his own turn. And that's really all you're trying to do, is just stick around in this game, find moments and windows where you can maybe push damage and slow this whole process down and get to the 10, 11 range. And did he just draw into another Blizzard?
It is. He topped it on his opt on Fate Foreseen. He topped it very fast, and I was wondering, like, could it be? That is exactly what he needs. It is still a bit tough here for him to close the 3 to 14 gap, even though it's much closer than it was. And I feel like Blizzard is exactly what he was potentially looking for.
But I want to point out there is a Rain Razors right here, and that Rain Razors could, at instant speed, just win the game for Evan if he's managed to line things up correctly and pay through Frostbite taxes, and blocks are not respected. So we'll see as the innocuous 4 drill shot with Go Again comes across, how the block is lined up, because we know there in this hand there are no defense reactions. So the block literally comes down to how you're going to stack it right now.
It is scary. If Richard chooses to just block for 3, I think he will lose.
2 cards in hand, 1 floating.
He's got to think. He knows Rain Razors is in this deck. He knows it's a possibility. It's possible he wants to cash in the Coronet Peak, blocking that plus a card.
Yeah.
If there's no rain, that is going -1 though. But
I mean, it already gives -1, so you're priced in to value block with the Coronet Peak here. And so I wonder if he makes the call to 3 block and then Coronet Peak. But let's see what he starts with. Aether Hail first.
Not a bad idea. Just present this damage, kind of feel out the resources in your opponent's hand before ever firing off the Blizzard. Exact same play as last turn. It'll be interesting. Like you said, the Coronet Peak's going to get -1 either way, so it's going to block for a maximum of 1 this game. If you hang on to it, you keep the armor utility and the ability to pitch to it. But if you block with it, you critically play around Rain Razors.
He's going to take the Frostbite here. He's not playing the Rain Razors in response to any of this activations, which he's just holding on to it, waiting. There's the waiting mood for 3.
Scary in terms of patience here. Evan is really just saying, well, I want to see what you're throwing in front of this before I actually close it out.
Yeah, Evan does not have to really worry about lethal options because, I mean, just sitting at 9, you don't really have any outs that push you to 9 without Metacarpus Node at this moment because you've already presented the damage from the arsenal. So he doesn't really have to worry about dying in response here. What he does have to worry about is his opponent just not respecting the damage that we can throw. But there's the Blizzard, a non-block card. So it's okay to just play this out, give another Frostbite. But now we may see the response play of the Rain Razors. Nope, he's just going to let it resolve.
Okay. The patience here that Evan's showing is quite fascinating, but now he's down to 9. And that can be a dangerous endeavor.
Does he?
Oh, he's going to block the peak. Okay. We're living another turn, folks. If Evan wants to fire off the rain here, he's going to have to pitch his final card. So he has to choose between leaking 1 damage and arsenaling.
Yeah, I think he makes the correct play here. I think he's going to choose to Arsenal. Yeah,
We have the blue
Arsenal.
Emeritus Scolding on Richard's side. So Evan's at 9. You could get into a situation where you can kill him here.
Yeah.
It's close. With a red Aether Ice Vein, you can present 12, which Evan can survive if he has 4 resources to pitch to his
But
AB.
he has to draw into a red here. I think he drew into an Aether Ice Vein. Okay, so there are lethal outs on the stack or in the ability here. It just depends on how deep he's able to allow the Lexi player to pitch into resource generation or to cards that he can play. And this is the limit right here. He's going to float 2 and just put 2 damage or 3 on the stack.
Look at
that
this.
is a beautiful, beautiful read.
This is what an attack this is, the blue Searing Shot, because it comes in for 2. It's so unassuming, but it means the whole world right now to both players. You cannot let this pass. You cannot let this slide.
Is that a blue Aether Ice Vein? Is that a yellow or a red in the hand of Richard? I wonder if we can
think it's
punch
all
in.
blue.
Can we punch in there and take a look? Oh, he's got a. There he is. What is that card right there? It does look like a blue. Okay, so then our range without Metacarpus nodes is 3 plus 4, which is 7, plus 3 is 10. And being at 9 and with resources floating, Evan is alive every time here.
Yeah, absolutely. Richard might have to try to block out this turn, hope that the middle arrow is nothing too threatening, and try again next time. It is rough for him. He kind of needs Evan to have a brick turn where he can somehow steal a little bit of tempo. It's hard. Maybe with a Scar for a Scar, that could help on a future turn. It's hard without Corn at peak. He doesn't have many one-card plays. But it's very difficult to present 9 that cannot be stopped by the AB. Or sorry, like basically leak 9. Even if he's able to block out this turn, he draws into a red Ice Vein, then he can present 12. But 2 instances of AB2,
Yeah.
for example, is enough to stop that.
Yeah.
So you have to find a spot where you have kept
Now,
enough cards, and Evan
This is a key moment because we're probably going to see a resolution of Rain Razors here, and this will push the damage over that block. Oh no, he chooses not to play it.
Oh, this might just be some sort of,
Ooh.
but I mean, what other opportunity was there here? I
Well,
guess
it just,
in
it just means
response.
face. Yeah, well, it means face up. You could just play the Rain Razors, and that's the Rain Razors coming across. That's going to push the Blood Rod as well. So this is 6 block on a 5, but then it goes to 7. That's going to leak 1, and then it's going to basically make your turn be pay for the Blood Rod or die.
And if you don't have the means to pay for it,
Now, looking at that playing out differently, if he just plays the Rain Razors first, then we know what we're dealing with, but we also leak the damage there, and I think you just won the game on the Rain Razors prior, but gonna have to pay for the Blood Rot and keep the cards in hand. Sitting at 9 in a very good spot is Evan.
Yeah, it is a tall ask for Icelander here. I feel like we've seen all 3 Blizzards, which gives him like less potential outs to draw into to escape. I feel like he would need the Lexi to like full red brick here or
Mhm,
something.
That's exactly
Oh,
right, but
this
this is a great
is-
start.
this is a big deal to a degree. I mean, this cold snap potentially freezes your arsenal, forces out all the tricks early. Not to mention the response to the frostbite. So there it goes.
We see multiple 2 blocks in hand. I mean, he's priced into just straight up full blocking, but he's got a horrible hand to full block with. The hope is that he just doesn't have any good arrows that he can throw down, but we see that's not the case because we're playing Lexi, and Lexi does have good arrows available in the deck.
Activate will tear.
Activating Wolf Tear for the first time, has a full hand, pitch to blue, so everything is looking good from the Lexi side so far. Richard has access to 10 total block.
Oh man, and this is going to be for a +1 as well. The Falcon Wing is going to get the free go again built in.
Gives you the capability of using your 2 blocks, which are poor in your hand, but they basically just spell doom because now your opponent loads a second time if they have any way to push over, and you're just going to have to full block this as well. 2-card block the Bolton shot so that they can't continue the turn.
Block 6.
There's
Okay.
still an outside chance for the Icelander. Evan is low enough. If he were to somehow brick and Richard could keep 2 cards to present, say, a Wounded Bull or something, that could be big.
Yeah.
I don't know if he has the Wounded Bulls in. I don't know if we've seen any so far in this game.
Doesn't seem like we've seen too many. We have seen the plays on the Fiendal's Fighting Spirit, but those are also in the deck for life gain purposes as well. Let's see the Endless Arrow in the arsenal being showed here.
Found an Ice Vein.
I think that's a yellow one, so Evan must have access to 3 resources at any point to survive, but it's very likely that he will. By the time Richard has to block, by the time the resources are gone, basically Richard's hand cards will already be gone because he's going to have to survive all of these attacks.
4 damage on the stack here. There's no real reload effect or anything from Bolton Shot here, so it's just a matter of getting you closer to the end game here. We're going to throw that yellow Aether Ice Vein in front of it. 1 damage potentially leaking through here.
I think he's just going to have to take the 1 here, go to 1, and then just try to hope that he can block out the next 2 attacks. But we know that one of them is a breakpoint attack in Endless Arrow, and if there's another breakpoint attack,
Oh
it's
no.
all but
It's
just
another
game.
breakpoint.
And if that's a red searing shot, and it is, then that is just going to do it because you don't have the economy with 3 cards in hand to be able to block this out and the Endless Arrow that was expertly pocketed on the previous turn for this 5-card hand.
As it stands now, 4 attack. The text on Searing Shot means absolutely squat right now. It's merely a matter of if anything goes through. So he's going to be playing the Emeritus Scolding on.
For 4. I will press.
And that, yeah, AB2 there is just going to seal the deal. He's going to only take 2 down to 7.
I think Richard sees the writing on the wall, just firing that arsenal off, and there's no way he can block the damage. There's no way he can present lethal. I think we have the game, folks.
0 cost arrows. Turns out quite good. And gonna cover this up with the 2 cards, but it just means that that Endless Arrow is coming across. No equipment available, nothing there, and the Endless Arrow just seals the deal. And you have your winner. And turns out it's Lexi.
It is
Of all
Lexi.
heroes.
Indeed. Lexi wins again. Congratulations to Evan Herndon, our Battle Hardened Milwaukee champion.
Yeah, and Evan Herndon was the runner-up at the U.S. National Championships in Las Vegas just a few months ago, which was a great showing there. That was ultimately won by Charles Dunn, but Evan was a new revelation. I remember talking to Evan, and Evan was very shy and sheepish in terms of it, saying like, I'm no one special. I'm not really anybody that I think that you'd want to talk to. And we're like, no, man, like this is incredible. And there he was at the top in the top 8 and ultimately making it all the way to the end. And here he is winning a Battle Hardened. So congratulations to Evan Herndon winning with Lexi Livewire, getting a little more LL points in her pocket, getting her closer to that living legend status.
Yeah, congratulations to him for picking up the win and the prizes that go along with it. And don't forget, if you'd like to see more Flesh and Blood action, we have a PQ tomorrow, a PTI, if you will. Not a PQ, but a PTI. And you said you were playing in the PTI tomorrow, right?
I will be playing it. I think I'll probably be on Azalea again tomorrow.
That'll be fun.
Well, I mean, really, did it really do anything for you this weekend?
Didn't go well today. Well, okay, no, I can't even.
Go well
It's just
today.
the number 1 seed, 119 players.
6-0 Azalea list.
Azalea was very kind to me today.
Yeah.
I see no reason not to run her back.
Azalea, our Icelander died. I didn't even know she was sick.
And we have our winner right
I didn't know
here.
She was
Evan,
sick.
hop in.
Congratulations here. Let me slide out of the way.
Oh, all right.
Here, I'll just
Hop in.
the little dance here.
That's how we're going to do it. Evan
Congratulations. Thank
Evan Herndon, the Battle Hardened Milwaukee champion. Wonderful to have you here, buddy. Congratulations, Evan.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Now, last time we spoke was in Las Vegas, if you remember that.
Yes, of course.
And you were a little bit more, I don't want to say more modest, you were just exceptionally modest. You thought yourself, amidst such a murderer's row of incredible players, you said, hey, man, I'm just Evan.
Yeah.
And now, have you got a little bit more confidence in your back pocket after coming off of a runner-up status at the U.S. National Championship, winning the Battle Hardened here in Milwaukee?
Oh, for sure. I feel great making back-to-back finals. It's awesome.
Well, not only just making back-to-back finals, but you've also won this final. Like, that's a whole different thing. Now you are a champion, Evan.
I know. I'm super stoked. Very happy to win. I was pretty happy just making finals.
Secured a PTI.
Secured a PTI. Really happy about that. I'm really happy that I was able to win after beating my friend Guy in top 8. So super stoked about it.
I was told that if you won the Battle Hardened today, you were going to lock in a trip to Taiwan. Is that the case?
I don't know if I actually can lock in a trip to Taiwan because I had made Ethan a promise that if I won, I would go, but I don't have a passport.
Oh,
It's currently still in the mail.
gotcha.
So
Okay, that's a pretty big fact.
That is a fair reason.
Yeah, that's definitely something that we'd let you go. It's a matter of custom, so we have no sway over them. So
maybe I can tell them I'm Battle Hardened champion to let me in.
yeah, I don't think they care.
Yeah, I don't think they care either.
Customs may bust out the rubber gloves, which was not going to be a fun experience. However, this gold foil,
Oh yeah.
is this being opened at any point?
Yeah, let's open it on stream right now.
Oh, let's do
Moses.
it.
Now we're talking about it. Okay, is there something that you're hoping it is?
New Horizon.
Yeah, that makes
That'd
sense.
be a sick one.
Would be very happy with New Horizon. I'm sure it's probably gonna be like a new mech card though.
Well, we shall see. Here it is, the gold foil reveal. I'll make sure the camera gets a good spot of it over there. We want to see what this is. Survey says...
Drum roll, please.
Drum roll, drum roll.
Oh!
Scowling
Flesh
flesh
bag.
bag.
Scowling flesh bag. There you go.
Hopefully Brood will be good soon. We'll see.
Well, we already spoke to Brian Golly. No, Brood is not happening.
No.
We've already concluded that the next set is called Rising Tides, and it's a pirate set.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, in December.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, false information. But this is
Oh.
going to get clipped and sent everywhere, probably. Yeah, that's not actually a fact. Congratulations, Evan. That's super cool, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
What are you doing when Lexi rotates?
Finding a new good deck to play.
All right.
How do you feel post Bright Lights? Do you think anything has changed for Lexi, or do you think she's still top dog?
Still top dog. Nothing has changed, I don't think.
All right. Well, for everybody in chat who's a hater of Lexi, what do you have to say for all the people that think that she's just way too good?
I was the only person in top 8 playing Lexi, so obviously she's not that good.
There you go. From
You heard it here from the champ. Yep.
Wonderful. All right. So if the passport gets there in time, you're going to Taipei. Is that
Oh,
correct?
for sure. I would love to. I don't think it'll be here in a week, though.
You never know. Fingers crossed. Well, what depends? When did you send this in?
I got it right after Vegas.
Okay, what the hell? Why does it take so freaking long? What is wrong with
It really
your
is quite
country,
the
guys?
process.
I know. I paid for expedited too.
Holy Moses, dude. Okay, well, regardless, never know. Maybe you can slide that across the table as a little bit of bribery, not to
Well,
customs,
Not to customs. Not to customs.
to like FedEx or something. Maybe they can help you out.
Fingers crossed.
All right. Well, I've had the privilege of being able to cast some exceptional matches with some exceptional people, which is incredible. And now, Evan, just seeing you go from runner-up at US Nats to winning the Battle Hardened here in Milwaukee, I think that's phenomenal. So congratulations again, my friend.
Thank you.
It's been a long day. Are you playing tomorrow?
I'm not. Me and Guy have to go home.
Well, you went home on the highest note possible.
Yeah,
so
for sure. For
congratulations again.
sure.
Beautiful stuff. Well done.
Thank you.
Safe travels, my friend. I hope you get your passport in time.
I want a handshake too.
I
Congrats,
got you,
Evan.
Brody. Thank you.
All right. Well, friends, that should do it. Yeah, there you go. From the man himself, from Ethan.
And DM Armada. Let's go.
Sure. Well, you can do we're gonna have like a kind of like they do at weddings where they all just line up and they can all shake hands and stuff on the way out. No problem. You're gonna go have a signing booth. if
Oh,
you
hell
want.
yeah. Let's
Yeah,
go.
you'll sign some 8x10s or something. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching the Battle Hardened here in Milwaukee. You should be doing this. Yeah, go. Brody,
right.
this is you, man.
Everybody, thank you so much for tuning into the Battle Hardened here in Milwaukee. This has been 10 rounds of Bright Lights CC. We're going to be back with more CC tomorrow in the PTI event, so don't go anywhere. Same as that one stream where we said, go somewhere, but stay around.
Well,
Be
hold
back
on a
soon.
second. You could go somewhere because the stream's not going to start up for another 12 hours. So when we say don't go anywhere, you should probably go sleep, eat, bathe, do things like that, right? Maybe go call a loved one.
But keep the stream handy. You never know. We might start it. You got to be ready.
Yes.
You got to keep YouTube open. But yeah, we will see you tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in, and congratulations again to Evan.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.